Hi there, I don't intend to deviate, but should I deviate? The main aim of this video is to almost highlight what the different roles or different generations, if should they hear each other out and accommodate each other accordingly, they could stand solidly and strong for the betterment of themselves. And it's, after all, for the good of everyone, to balance each and everything out as it should be in a family structure. So fine, remember, if you listen to my TikTok videos, there's a time where I'm illustrating about the different planets and how Pluto wants to be Mercury and so on and so forth. Yeah, you can head over onto my TikTok, IYH, Hi B Tribe. That's Hi B Tribe, and there's no apostrophe, so it's just one word, B Tribe. But you have to have a, what you call it, score, bottom score, what you call that? That score thingy at the bottom, that thick one at the bottom, not a dash or not a dash hyphen, but the bottom score, whatever thing. That word just ran away from my mind. Okay, and I was speaking about how okay, just give me a minute. I think I should start at a certain point. Usually we would know that if someone, let's say for example, I give a lesson on something indirectly, and you catch on to the lesson and you catch on more. Let's say you're a very detailed person like myself, and you catch on more to the topic and surpass it. You are obviously gonna respond towards that situation or life in general at a better angle, from a better angle, and probably surpass what I thought you would do with the word, type of thing. Yes, as we know, usually when someone has, like, the next generation usually is better than the one before. Usually, most of the time, they're enabled with different features or skills, or they have refined a certain set of skills. Their skill set is just having more and more opportunity to be developed in a better way than the previous generation, obviously, because these, technological advancements and whatnot, many factors weigh in to what I'm saying. Fine. And I'm just trying to show you the balancing act of, if the different generations would hear each other out. There's something about this time, this period, moment in time in life, where when certain things could connect. Some people have suggested the topic, where, like, I've heard it, like, where, traditional medicine and Western medicine, when that balancing factor, it's not something we can just do. It will always be something we talk about, something we see it making sense, but there's going to be a time and point where it's not people who are just suggesting it and seeing the benefits of whatever I'm talking about, but there will be a certain set of a generation, which is not far off, honestly, that will be backing this with everything that they have, meaning they would be willing to risk their lives, risk whatever, to see that happening. So it's, this kind of moment is like an introductory. I'm not the first one, many have suggested such, where there's going to be a balancing act of things that were meant to always work hand in hand together, but the bridge was not yet established, or no one saw the need to establish it. If someone figured it out, then good for them. But there will come a time where it's vital for these two almost synonymous factors to be aligned to get the maximum of benefits from it. But yeah, for example, I was saying, if Pluto should want to take the what you call it, the like trade bodies or whatever with the first planet Mercury, then Pluto would probably fall over, right? Would fall over as a result of the challenges type of thing. But obviously we know with time, if anyone chooses to endure or anything of that sort, they can end up building themselves up strong, and the different environmental factors, whether it be in the celestial sphere, it could end up like working in its favor over time, but it's usually with a big price to it. Like in the end, there's a big price to it. It just doesn't just happen, but it probably wasn't even necessary. So reverting it back to human beings, if sometimes, yes, others might think, yes, it's time to forge a new way, a new path. Like, yeah, we know there's time for everything. Those who have played their roles, they've played their roles. But those who still see the need for a role that they believe their elderly still have, hold on to them with this concept. I mean, usually the youth, like I've said, I felt like my life has been impacted so much by the youth. And what I'm getting is that they are building skill, but there's this going on. So what, like I said, you cannot change an adult, an elder. They've already are cemented. They already are cemented in who they are. Something about them, besides however way life has thrown at them and what they've become, with age they become with age and with circumstances, they form that bark, and they are the like trunk of the tree. They have a trunk, they are solid. So from this solid place you can build. Hence the branches could represent, the parents, and so on and so forth. The limbs and the branches can represent the parents, and then the first generation with the great grandparents or the grandparents type of grandchildren, great grandchildren, and the grandchildren type of thing. And how then this would play out if you already have this bark like this, you can build from it, but only if this bark, when you have elders that are willing to listen. It's almost like listening to the thoughts of the youngsters would be like no different from the leaves that grow. They'll build a shadow would be like, like it would, after the leaves come most probably fruits. So it will like also provide a shadow for those who are the bark with the roots. They are solid. But once now you do away with that, and now you have to start here. Everything, you have to start solidifying here first before branching out thereafter. Which is like, now things take extra time. Not that it can't be done, but then you literally start from almost, you take yourself a couple of steps back, whereas you could have been a couple of steps forward. So if you have those kind of elders, you can sit down and reason with them. You can sit down with them and find meaning and establish meaning and sense that benefits everyone in the equation, no matter the constraints, the challenges. But they sit down and they hear you out, and the young ones suggest, because the young ones' thoughts are like those renewed leaves that come on and come off. If they are heard, because they are aware, they are like out about, they are about life. If their thoughts are heard, from time to time, they can surf them. The bark can surf them, type of thing. You know what I mean? They can surf them and see what works, what doesn't. So there's almost this cycle of regulating information and keeping track of information. And there's something about this. There's growth. There's fruit. There's fruit. You want to get to the point where there's fruit. You don't want to get to the point where you've been sowing and you're working towards something, and then the bark goes off, or the limb is suffers breakage. You know what I mean? From what I'm saying, obviously anyone can tell that there's nothing new under the sun. There's probably a family right now, they've grasped the essence of what I'm talking about. That's all they know. There's some families who are going to attempt, but it's going to be like going against a tidal wave. It's like going against the odds, because usually in life, the sad part about it, you can figure something out and be on some we, but someone is like on a me tip, because we also have different experiences. Or never mind the in a broad sense, just scaling it down, we have experiences that have taught us to become that way. As a result of the very people now you should find yourself sitting down talking sense to, because others know that in life at this age, especially as adults, we know that people tend to want certain things to happen, and we do see that there is good in them, but unfortunately, so it's not for those who can master what I'm saying. Those who are mastering it, I wish to see it happen, so that I can just see exactly what I'm talking about happening in real life, and seeing the exact example, its benefits, and everything that is to benefit from such a structure. There's something about it that is just genius. That's where the mechanism of family has found purpose according to the way God would have intended for it to be. I think this is what in essence it ties down to. Purpose, a family purpose, striking that balancing act between generation is like the initial purpose that God would have probably had. He knew that there's different personalities. He knew that there would be challenges. He knew that, but there would be something very powerful about a family just coming together, hearing each other out. Even when someone takes in, like, sits down, people sit down on a table or whatever, and people speak, there is something about that also renews the perspective. Like, you almost give that sense of, you're like a sense of fresh air. In a sense, it's in a newness that the bark feels. You're giving them a different perspective, something they could know or heard of or thought it would happen, but then hear that actually that has happened. I've thought that this would happen someday, but it's actually happening. This is something about it that also gives them life. And with that as well, them giving you feedback, them giving that support, it also feeds into you. There's almost just this systematic way of that support and feeding the refreshing newness of life in perspective, shared experiences, etc. So I think there's just something very genius about that. And altogether there's balance, the surfing of that, the bark, there's weight in both spheres, but somehow it's in sync. It's balanced. There's something that's balanced about that. There's a certain lifeline about it. There's a certain expectation and a certain skill or skills that should be brought forth in certain times, in certain seasons, in certain moments, after having understood the structure and the systematic way of balancing the entire family tree, if I can put it that way. And just everything would be in harmony and make sense. But it's like that peace that surpasses understanding, meaning it's not in absence of misunderstandings, quarrels, difference in opinion, this, that, bickering, but there's that soundness, that consistency, or that soundness that says, this is going to be for the betterment of this. I'm forgetting or putting my preferences or my selfishness aside, and it's going to work for the greater good. And many families who cannot have that will now begin to weigh in. They'll be so in control of self and this systematic way of life that ties into family and structure, and they'll be like this humongous tree that just grows and has like branches, and people will come in and also find comfort, also find reason from here, also find structure from there, also find new ways of dealing with different dynamics and family dynamics, because there's the bark and the branches, meaning there's gonna also be different families, children that go and marry and bring different people, that it brings a different dynamic, that they have to now also go back to the infancy of the essence of having to the primary phases, where having to understand that structure maybe it has never existed. What if another one decides, no, I'll raise my kids alone, I don't need the man, or no, I don't want kids, I don't want a husband, then that person becomes structure for such people, that one, that type of thing. There's just something beautiful about that. And usually families who mastered this are very blessed, but the equal opposite, that is a negative, applies. That's why there's families like that. I mean, really guys, like, think about it. Do you know, like, imagine when someone is asking for, imagine, this is in general, in case someone came to ask for something yesterday, it's in general, someone came to ask for like sugar, like a neighbor or someone down the road, I need sugar or something that they need that you could have. Like, already it just, you could do it, like, sure, and then they come the third, first time, and this and that. It kind of weighs down on you. It has an impact on how, because you'd find that you are managing what you have, but you gave from the point that, okay, this person is in need, they need to have such a thing, but it's taking away from me that I would have to buy another packet earlier. But you're not saying no. It inconveniences you as a human being to have to help another. So now imagine heavy family dynamic of drama of a situation, how it takes, that specific family, there comes a point, unfortunately, where when you're dealing with human beings, it's different kind of risky situation and risky levels. Do you understand? It's a whole risk, but there's reward to it, because you have extended families type of situation happening there. But it's risky. But then again, and you sow your time, your efforts, your energies, to which other families in question, their own families couldn't do. So you go the extra miles. This is then when you have confidence and you're married to a certain family. Should this family is in seasons like this where the most is happening, do you understand how many people they have on board? And when they suffer this, these trials and tribulations and winds and storms, how many people are shaken? Do you understand? Like, the whole dynamic is not a matter of, hey, some of these families think I'm important, I can just do this to you. No, it's a matter, it's part of, I give the inclusiveness of the whole experience. We've included you in good times, in our good times, but we had to deal with your hardship. And now that's where the expertise should be rolling in. That's part of the benefits of adopting certain people into your family structure, so that when trouble weighs in, Luena, you have to have that shade to bring to the table and say, we could manage it this way. But if no one comes to the fore, and that department that deals with having to do what they need to do in the time they need to do it, unfortunately, what needs to happen will happen. But when you have people bringing forth their skill set at a given time, then that's the blessing of, having recruited such people, because they weigh in when it's necessary, how it's necessary, and they can avoid certain things having to happen. And people's lifespans are also extended because expertise came forth. People understood what they were doing, how they were doing it, and knew how to apply it at a timely time. That works hand in hand in saving the whole equation of the whole structure, or the whole family tree with everyone adopted. Like, the beauty of that. It's beautiful, right? When you listen to it, it's something I really can already imagine that it's just something. It's not easy. Or you're sitting in your own couch watching TV, it's your own space, someone knocks and they have a problem, you have to leave what you're doing to go listen. It's not easy, surely. But yeah, that's about it.